When you're scrolling through a sea of pre-built gaming rigs, the temptation is to chase the biggest numbers on the front page spec sheet. I get it, those 8-core CPUs and 16GB of RTX graphics look impressive, but the real question is whether the machine will actually fit into your day-to-day routine without turning into a money sink. In this review, I'm trying to cut through the hype and give you a grounded sense of what it's like to live with the Ocean Park White gaming PC, so you can decide if it's worth the cash or if you'd be better off building or buying something else. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the box arrives already assembled in the United States, which removes the whole do-it-yourself anxiety for anyone who isn't comfortable opening a chassis. The system is built around an AMD Ryzen 7 9700X, an 8-core, 16-thread processor that sits at 3.8 GHz out of the gate and can boost higher underload. Pair that with an RTX 5070 Ti 16GB GPU, and you have a combination that should comfortably hit 1080p ultra settings and even dip into 1440p high refresh territory for most modern titles. The real benefit of this pairing isn't just raw frame counts, it's how consistently those frames stay stable when you jump between a fast-paced shooter, a sprawling open-world RPG, and a streaming session on the side. The 32GB of DDR56000 RAM feels generous for gaming, and I've actually noticed the difference in a few multitasking scenarios. Load a game, pull up a web browser with a few tabs, and start a Discord voice chat. The system doesn't hiccup. That's because the DDR5 kit is running at 6000 MHz, which is a step above the 48,005,400 MHz kits you see on many budget builds. In practice, it translates to faster texture streaming and smoother level transitions, especially in games that are memory hungry like Cyberpunk 2077 or Red Dead Redemption 2. Storage is another area where the Ocean Park PC tries to justify its price tag. It ships with a 1TB PCIe NVMe SSD for the operating system and your most played titles, plus a secondary 1TB SATA SSD for bulk storage. The NVMe drive boots Windows 11 in under 10 seconds, and you can see games loading from it in a fraction of the time you'd expect from a hard drive. The extra SATA drive is a nice safety net if you want to keep a library of less demanding games or media files without crowding the fast drive. Cooling is where the system makes a bold statement. A 360mm AIO liquid cooler sits on the CPU, and the case features an RGB-enabled fan control app that lets you dial in fan curves or sync lighting with other peripherals. In my day-to-day testing, the AIO kept the Ryzen at around 65C during sustained 30-minute gaming sessions, which is respectable. The fans stay relatively quiet at idle, though you'll hear a faint whir when the GPU ramps up. If you're sensitive to noise, the fan curve can be tweaked in the app to keep the pump slower at the cost of a few degrees of extra heat, but the thermal headroom is generous enough that you won't be pushing the system into throttling territory. Now, let's talk about the hidden trade-offs. The 850W power supply is ample for this configuration, but it's a non-modular unit. That means you end up with a bundle of cables snaking behind the motherboard, which can make future upgrades or cable management a bit messy. If you're the type who likes a pristine interior for aesthetics or airflow, you'll need to spend a little time tidying up. Also, the case is a sleek white tower that looks great on a desk, but it's not the most spacious for large aftermarket coolers or multiple storage drives. Adding a third SSD or a bigger GPU than the 16GB RTX 5070 Ti could force you to make compromises on space. Who should consider buying this rig? If you're a gamer who wants a high-performance machine out of the box without the hassle of picking parts, building, and troubleshooting, this is a solid middle ground. The combination of a strong CPU, high-speed DDR5, and a modern GPU means you'll be able to tackle the next few generations of games at high settings without needing to upgrade for at least a couple of years. It also suits streamers who need enough headroom to encode video while gaming, thanks to the extra RAM and the efficient Ryzen architecture. The pre-installed Windows 11 and the integrated fan control app make the whole experience feel polished for someone who isn't a tech enthusiast. On the other hand, the machine isn't the best fit if you're a strict budget shopper or someone who enjoys the tinkering aspect of building a PC. The price point sits higher than a DIY build that could deliver similar performance with a bit of research, especially if you can source a stock GPU or find a discount on a motherboard. Additionally, if you're aiming for 4K gaming at high refresh rates, you'll find the RTX 5070 Ti starts to struggle in the most demanding titles, and you might need to drop settings or consider a higher tier card down the